Jose Sanchez joins me to talk about PlayStation's recent shopping spree. We get a look at some of the quality of life improvements in Skyward Sword. And we chat about the Tomorrow War, The Bad Batch, Loki, and Mario Golf Super Rush. All that and the latest in everything cool today in the Rundown. Hey, welcome to my basement, the rundown and reviews on the Run-a-Palooza with Jose Sanchez and myself. What up, Jose? How are you, my friend? Good to see you.
Doing good. Just hanging. Just hanging. That's pretty much all I do.
Happy Fubar Friday.
Fubar Friday, guys. Holiday week and Canada Day week. We got 4th of July weekend coming. It's my anniversary. I've been married a year already. What?
And you're a dad.
And I'm a dad. I got babies running around. What is one?
I see the baby pick up on the wall, which is fantastic. Yeah, I like the new the redesign, the redecoration that's going on behind you.
It's a whip.
I like
not to be confused with a WAP. It's a
yes.
Whip.
Okay. All right. We won't confuse it with the WAP. That's the first time that's ever been said on this show, by the way. Listen, it's good to see everybody here. We are live. I'll clip this out and make this a separate audio podcast, but do know that we do live shows all the time on our website at youtube.com/EPNTV. Today's episode is a hybrid of the rundown, so we're going to get into stuff that's been percolating in the news, in the businesses that EP covers over the last week, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that we've been watching and playing and enjoying, and we'll catch up with Jose. But first, we have to give a shout out to our sponsor, which is the Gaming Stadium. Yes. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation, and they've got cool things going on every single weekend. You don't want to miss the action. Find out all about them at tgs.gg. All right, we have a dedication for this episode as well. I got a lot of nice comments on my interview with Sophia DiMartino, who plays one of the Lokis. And Jose, I always get nice comments about you, Foobs.
Thanks.
But Rawo Sound Design Services said, very respectful interview, Vic. Great questions, and you did wonderful in creating a welcoming atmosphere. And he or she went on to say some other very nice things. And I'll tell you, it was a real treat. It's really cool that I got to spend that time with Sophia, and then she had such a huge part in the most recent episode of Loki. Foobs has not been watching the series because you like to catch up on everything.
I like to wait until right before the season finale. That's what I did with WandaVision.
Yeah. I
was like, I'm going to wait. There's one episode left. I'm going to watch all 9 before we get to that last one. And then I was like, I'm not waiting for anything.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, you do end up waiting for sure. And these shows are definitely put together like massive mega movies, right? Like Falcon and the Winter Soldier was like a 6-hour movie. Anyways, we are going to talk about Loki, but we've got some other things to get going on. Let's get started talking about your rundown. One of the big news announcements of the week is that PlayStation has purchased Housemarque, the makers of the incredible Returnal. You finished Returnal, and do you think that this was a good purchase on PlayStation's part, my friend?
Bravo.
Yes.
Bravo on their part.
Yeah, it kind of
even though I played the game for about 20 plus hours, and there was an update that completely wrecked my save, and I had to go back and replay the whole thing. But my 12-hour completion time of the second turnaround was way better. I died like 4 times. It was great. I knew what I was doing the second time around.
There is a magic to that game where if you find the right ingredients, you can just go and go and go and go.
It's called Thermal Pylon. Best gun in the game.
All right.
Best gun in the game, hands down.
Thermal Pylon. That's also a great name for a kid, for anybody out in the audience that might be having a little one. Thermal Pylon. This is a company that has grown in estimation thanks to the success of Returnal. But it's also been a company that's been associated and affiliated with PlayStation over numerous years. Like they did Super Stardust, and Resogun was one of their titles as well. I remember interviewing the people from Housemarque about Resogun, and one of the things that they said, which was funny, is that videos saved to the hard drive of the PlayStation 4 at the time were larger than the game file size. So if you recorded yourself playing the game, it was a bigger deal. But it's a pretty cool, exciting announcement from PlayStation. But that's not all that's going on in the world of PlayStation. First of all, we got confirmation that they picked up Nixies, and this is a company that has worked with numerous studios, a lot of work with Square Enix, as a matter of fact, working on the Tomb Raider games and Deus Ex, and most recently Avengers. But this is a port company. This is a company that really specializes on bringing software from one platform to the other. And one of the things that seems to be apparent with what PlayStation is doing going forward is they are progressing in the idea of releasing a lot more stuff on PC. So this is a smart play again, right?
Yes. I mean, there are a lot of people out there, who are excited that you have your Xbox crossover. You can play it on your PC, play it on your Xbox. And now the PlayStation games are slowly trickling over to the PC. There's a lot more people who are like, okay, I can see what all this stuff is about, which is it's a lot easier to get a PC than it is a PlayStation 5.
Right. True.
Just saying.
Yeah, very good point. And maybe what this means with acquisitions like this is that they're going to ramp that up. I mean, it's money left on the table. It's not going to please the PlayStation diehards out there so much that they're not going to be the only place that you can play PlayStation, but it's money left on the table and people want to play these incredible games.
Yeah, especially the way people are just upgrading with all the graphic cards are just getting insane. You want to get the most out of your console experience that you can't quite get out of your console experience.
Yeah.
Get yourself a high-end PC, which again, findable, doable. You can go ahead and make an awesome PC that's going to play these games at the highest fidelity that you want it to.
Absolutely. You might have to spend twice as much as a PlayStation 5.
True.
Right.
But you have the catalog of games on the PC is way bigger.
And you can also open up a Word document.
You can send emails.
You can
it's
send
like a giant iPhone. Send emails on it, tweets.
We're explaining the PC to the viewers and listeners of the Electric Playground, which is great. The other big news, which isn't official yet, but it's all but because the PlayStation Japan team added Demon Souls to the PlayStation family, which kind of points to the idea that Blue Point, if it hasn't been acquired, will soon be acquired, and the announcement on that it will also be forthcoming. And this is another company that specializes in remakes and remasters, and most recently did a phenomenal job with Demon Souls for the PlayStation 5. Beautiful, beautiful experience. Arguably, for a lot of players, the most exciting of the launch PlayStation 5 titles. And, clearly this is going to become an important company for PlayStation going forward because they can go back into their library now, which is something that
that everyone's doing.
Well, everybody's doing, but PlayStation Brass has really talked about that as a future for them as well. Like they really want to.
Let's not give them backwards compatibility.
Exactly.
Let's just remake all the old games.
Exactly. Well, they want.
Okay.
They because Sony, I think, is thinking, as is Microsoft and other players out there, is thinking about the transmedia potential for some of this work. Right. We're getting the Uncharted film, and there's a lot of other things sort of percolating. PlayStation is clearly looking at putting their brands across a huge threshold. Nintendo's doing that right now with theme parks and movies and all that stuff. And so I think what's going on is a lot of the ambition and a lot of the dreaming that developers had back in the day with these great properties can now be realized at almost, photorealism and with the hardware of today. And I think that a lot of these companies want to do that right now, which is kind of cool. But Blue Point has done a ton of titles over the years as well. They've worked with PlayStation on Shadow of the Colossus. They did the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection. They worked on God of War stuff. They worked on Titanfall as well. And Flower, like really, really talented team.
They got a good balance of hard, awesome work done.
Yeah, and one of the rumors that keeps percolating is that Blue Point is working on a remake of Metal Gear Solid, the very first one. I mean, it keeps bubbling up. It's been bubbling up for years and years, but maybe that's what this is going to be tied to.
I'm going to have to buy another PlayStation controller?
Maybe.
If I want to finish that boss fight.
You'll need two. You absolutely will. Yep.
And it's like digital now. It's like I played it was one of the remasters or something I played on my backwards compatible PS3, and I was like, wait, it's wireless. I only have one. I tried to plug it into another slot. I was like, this doesn't work. How do I register this controller as controller 2? I'm never gonna beat this boss. I borrowed a friend's controller, figured that problem out.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
You worked it out. Well, and that wasn't the only news that was sort of bubbling up from the world of PlayStation this week. We also got the announcement that their beloved Ghost of Tsushima is coming back next month in an update that's going to be out there. It's the director's cut of the game.
Another director's cut. Who directed the first one? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, PlayStation was so hard-ass, they had to cut all kinds of stuff out of the game. But now it's all back. You do get a new island to cruise around in. But what's amazing about this, obviously it's going to look phenomenal 4K resolution at 60 frames per second on PlayStation 5, and the new
feedback.
The new feedback elements that are going to be in there, and the triggers and all that stuff. But it's also going to be available for the PlayStation 4. So for those that missed it, may have PlayStation 4, and as we all know, it's a little bit easier to get a PlayStation 4 right now.
It is.
I played it initially on the PlayStation 4 Pro, and it was absolutely staggering. I
waited.
What's
I
that?
waited until I got my PS5, and that was one of the first games I finished next to Spider-Man. But I was like, I want to play it on the PS5 just because I want to make my PS5 feel like it's being used.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, we also get a new island expansion in this, and they're clearly fleshing out the world of Ghost of Tsushima and sort of expanding on it, and likely there is going to be a sequel or some kind of iteration on what we have seen already. But Sucker Punch has not let up since they released this. There was lots of post-launch updates and upgrades. It just looks incredible.
Such a beautiful game. I hope the sequel's Ghosts of like multiple Ghosts of like aliens. Ghosts of Tsushima.
And maybe they take over the big island of Japan. Maybe they go and they leave Tsushima.
I can't wait, man. I just hope there's more onsen so we can get Man Meat Monday streams going, looking for the onsen, get the cheeks out, just relaxing in the onsen.
It's a cheek party. Fubar Friday cheek party. All butts all the time. All right, so lots of good things going on in the world of PlayStation, but Nintendo has got a new Zelda release headed our way very soon. It's The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD for Nintendo Switch, and of course there's been a lot of questions about how the Wii controls and the way that we used to play this on the Nintendo Wii. I happen to really enjoy this game, by the way. Not everybody did. I got used to the motion controls. But Nintendo is aware that those motion controls aren't for everyone, so that is a huge focus of attention. They released a trailer kind of focusing on the quality of life upgrades, and they show you the motion controls. They show you that you can still waggle your Joy-Con and do some hack and slash maneuvers like you could with the Wiimote, but you can effectively do a lot of these motion type controls with buttons and the thumbsticks of the controller. Which is, I think going to be preferable for a lot of people out there. Did you stick with Skyward Sword when it was released on the Wii? No? And was it the motion controls that drove you insane?
The motion controls, and I don't know. It came out at a time where it didn't look very good. I mean, it looked good. Yeah. But to me, there was just something about, I don't know if I was playing it on a terrible TV or something, but I was like, this game just doesn't look as... It just didn't grab me in. And I love me some Zelda. I love some Zelda games, but I was just like, I can't
remember the year, but it was probably third or fourth, year of 360 and PlayStation 3, and the Wii was butting up against that. And certainly we saw the quality limitations. But I got totally obsessively hooked with Skyward Sword.
I knew there was going to be a remaster 10 years later. So I was like, I'm going to wait until I can play it on a better, more stable system where I don't have to constantly do this all the time. And that dream came true.
I remember reviewing a lot of Wii games back then, and we all were saying this. It was just annoying that we were all shaking our hands and stuff like that. But somehow I overcame all of that, and I became obsessed with the storytelling, and I had to beat the bosses, and I had to complete the game. And I have to tell you, I haven't beat every single Zelda game out there. I haven't stayed with every single one, but that was one that kept me locked from beginning to end.
You can't be admitting things like this.
Yes, sure it is. Fubar Friday is also confession time as well.
Confession Friday.
Confession Friday. But there's also,
darkest secrets.
Obviously going to be some enhancements to the frame rate and the visuals. You can fast forward through the dialogue. And Nintendo wants to show that there's some, modern elements and modern touches to this to make it feel a little bit more contemporary when people are comparing it to the more recent Zelda experiences and stuff like that. Other action role-playing games that are available out there. I, for one, can't wait to revisit this game. I really hope that people enjoy it as much as I ended up enjoying it, because I know I had some reservations when it first came out, but I definitely put it down. I remember talking with Scott Jones about it and just feeling like, man, this was so It wasn't hated, but I just didn't have the fervor that a lot of Zelda games at the time did. And I remember feeling like people are just missing out on how cool this game is.
Well, there's a reason why it's getting the HD remaster treatment and not another game. I feel like it's a lot of Zelda, or it's a lot of people's missed Zelda game.
Sure.
Or people that didn't give it the love that Nintendo thought it might have deserved.
Totally.
So I feel like now, they're like, hey.
I also feel, it's the 35th anniversary of Zelda, and I think that there is going to be other Zelda surprises, like the
Triforce Collection. That's all I want.
Which
Give
one?
me the Triforce Collection.
Yeah.
Of the top, 3 most beloved Zelda games.
Oh, I like that.
I know. It comes in a Triforce case. This is just spitballing off the top of my head.
I like it. But I do also think that there's some connections between Skyward Sword and the sequel to Breath of the Wild. And I think that maybe there's some time.
Or maybe they're just like, we want to give you as much Zelda this year as possible.
Could be just
that.
That
too. Absolutely. Not upset by it. This is a guy who's not bad by that.
Not upset. You're going to finally get the Zelda Skyward Sword experience where you're not doing the waggle that you've always wanted. There you go.
Less of this.
All right, a little bit less of this. All right, let's get into talking about some of the stuff that we have seen recently. Let's start off with Chris Pratt's brand new action sci-fi picture called The Tomorrow War. Now, this was just released on Prime Video today, and it is a kind of a combination Aliens, Predator, Independence Day, and
Starship Troopers, World
certainly.
War Z,
yes,
with aliens instead of zombies.
Yeah, we had Dave Bautista fighting zombies not too long ago, and now we've got Chris Pratt fighting aliens. I want to see Zoe Saldana fighting giant spiders, and then maybe Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel team up to fight Nazis.
In Fast and the Furious movie.
Okay, or there we
Fast
go.
10. Super space to fast. They're going into space.
What did you think of The Tomorrow War, my friend?
You know what? I've really actually enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's just something like Chris Pratt is he's becoming that guy that has that shtick.
Yeah.
In movies, like, he has his little serious bits, just like in Jurassic World. That same kind of delivery of like that. They're serious, tense moments, but sprinkles of humor. And I just felt like I found myself laughing a lot more than I thought I was going to when I was watching the movie.
Yes. Who is the? I'm looking up the cast right now, but the guy that played Charlie. He is amazing in this thing because he's nervous as hell and he can't stop talking.
I hid, man. I hid. You survived.
Yeah. He's kind of like the Bill Paxton of the flick. Yeah, that's Sam Richardson. He's fantastic in this film, and I like that it's not just like Chris Pratt's the executive producer on the film, so clearly he had some say on the quality of it all and casting and all of that. But I like that it's not just Chris Pratt like taking front and center in every star bit, and every laugh and every gag and every action beat. Even there's lots of great sharing of moments with the other cast in there, and it's actually it's a massive idea. The whole concept is that there's this alien creature, this species that wipes out human. They're so alien. They're like white aliens with...
they look great, too. I thought it was going to be one of those things where you don't see them until, like, the very end of the movie. And I was like, come on, not another one of these Cloverfield things.
Totally.
No. They're up front.
They're all up in your face. And actually, did they get you? Were you the guy? You were the mocap.
That was it.
Well, they did
I wasn't in the credits, but...
You're so generous. You do all your work uncredited, but yeah, they did an excellent job with the creatures. I actually thought
some scary ass aliens.
Yeah, and I tweeted out that the creature effects people, like, they should be commended. I mean, everybody's gonna be talking about the action and the humor and the good performances and stuff in this. It's also cheeseball science, like it's a movie that asks the viewer to accept that 30 years in the future, the last vestiges of humanity are fighting this alien force that's wiping out everybody, and humanity is on the brink of extinction. So they create a time jump back to 30 years to kind of recruit people to go into the future and fight aliens, which is a lot. It's a big leap for us to, okay, all right. But somehow...
And they kind of they close in that like, why don't you just they answer the question that everybody's gonna ask. Why don't you just go to where before they come out?
Yeah.
They can only go from this point to this point, and that's
Yes.
it. The times keep moving. I was like, okay. We're like, let's just get this out of the way real quick. A little quick couple lines in the movie. Answer this question. So anybody asks.
Yeah. But you know what? Like, I cared about the characters, and there's some, pretty cool family moments in this thing. It's not Interstellar. It's not sort of like beating you over the head with how much everybody loves each other. But there's some solid sort of connections to these characters for sure, and I think Yvonne Strahovski is fantastic in this movie. I think she just does an amazing job, actually. And J.K. Simmons,
I'd be like, J.K. Simmons, kill it. Yeah. And his little bit, but still so good. Such a J.K. Simmons. And he's so J.K.
He really is, but he also looks like Chris Pratt's dad too, right? He looks like they had a buff out. Everybody was like seeing how much they could show off their abs.
You got to keep the Marvel universes together, babe, okay?
True, right? Yeah.
J. Jonah, Star-Lord, who knew?
Yeah. So I don't want to spoil it because it's just out today, but I thought it was really fun, and it was great summer escapism. I did feel like the idea was bigger than the budget, but the filmmakers and the effects artists, they did a great job of using what they had to build a fairly large concept. We didn't see much of the future. I always find this with these end-of-the-world movies, where they have to kind of distill down to just
Miami.
A few different people. Yeah, one location.
Here is Miami.
We're in this office building for a long time. They find the cheats, and some, like, I really like that Greenland movie that Gerard Butler was in. That's also on Amazon Prime Video. Some do it better, and that movie did a great job at showcasing devastation happening all over the world. Pacific Rim also did a little bit of that as well. Yeah. This doesn't quite go that far, and the challenge, I think, on the filmmakers, apart from the budget on that, was like you would have to show sort of the reality of the 2022, which is when the movie kind of starts us off, accepting that the future is screwed for everybody, and you would
nobody
have to
was wearing masks though.
No one's wearing masks. Right.
I'm excited for that.
Right. Interesting that they're talking about an apocalyptic end of the world thing in the year of the pandemic like this, right? Yeah.
We got 30 more years, so
yeah.
Dodged a bullet.
But yeah, it was fun. And I think it would have played pretty damn well on the big screen as a theatrical release, but I don't think it's as epic as it's not as epic as Aliens, it's not as epic as even the first Predator or Independence Day.
But a fun ride.
But it's still a fun ride. Yeah. And it feels, if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, it feels like a great little bonus, doesn't it?
Yeah. I always love those little hits. Here's Invincible. Here's the Tomorrow War. Here's all these things we're doing. Thanks for being a Prime member. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have to go to the theater to see this.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, I would give the Tomorrow War, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. How about yourself?
I'm right there with you. 8. The Ocho. I felt like the only thing I wish that would have done is brought together more of the, because it's like a world, we're fighting, the entire world is fighting aliens. Yes. But when they all make the jump into the future, it's just everybody from here. Everybody from the U.S.
Yes.
I was like, there's no other foreign entities want to help?
Yeah, there's no international stuff.
Didn't we bring in anyone? Nobody else wants to come?
I agree. And it's not brainy science because you kind of have to check your brain at the door, but it's sold with conviction. Yeah. And I also, my 8 out of 10 also takes into account that it's a home video release. I think of all the crappy DVD sci-fi things that I used to watch, and this is much better than that. It's sort of in the middle, right? It's between the crappy DVD straight-to-video stuff that was a huge part of, post-Aliens being a hit. Every studio tried to release something like that to DVD. I saw a bunch of those. It's much better than that, but it's not quite Aliens. So I'm sticking with my 8. Are you giving it an 8?
Yep.
All right, 2 8s. There you go. Watch it this weekend if you got Amazon Prime Video. Something that I've been watching every week is Star Wars: The Bad Batch, and this episode, I'm not going to review the show because I'm trying to kind of watch the whole season. But this episode was another further distillation on the Bad Batch. understanding the havoc that the Empire is creating. And so the Bad Batch gets sent on a mission, a rescue mission, to save a senator who is turning his back on what the Empire has to say. And I like that there's a resonance there, that these guys are starting to recognize that they're becoming much more than just soldiers. They're not just, I mean, they're mercenaries, but they actually have to start taking an active role in the decisions that they make, and the kind of the course of action that they are going to take as fighters. And it's such a compelling concept. I've said this before as I've talked about the Bad Batch, but this idea of we're transitioning from the Galactic Republic to the Empire, and we're watching the rise of the stormtroopers and just the evil of the Empire take over the galaxy. It's so cool to position us into this space with these characters who are just like, well, we don't really know where we belong. We don't know how we fit into all of this. And Omega, I think, exemplifies that quite well. And we're seeing her value to the team grow and expand from episode to episode. I think this is another terrific show, another terrific episode in an excellent show that is so, valuable in the context of all Star Wars, in expanding the universe and expand like the literal Star Wars universe in a bunch of really cool ways. I can't wait to see where the tendrils of these plot lines and these characters take us now, as we find out about the Rogue Squadron show, movie that Patty Jenkins is making, and the Boba Fett film that's coming up, because we're starting to really understand how Omega and I don't want to spoil too much.
Thanks.
All right. But yeah, it's another terrific show, another terrific episode. I've said this before, but honestly, if you're not watching The Bad Batch and you're a Star Wars fan, and people ask me too, do you need to watch the Clone Wars in order to get into The Bad Batch? And you really don't. You can. You know that the Bad Batch are introduced in the Clone Wars, and this idea of the humanity in these clone troopers is really explored in the Clone Wars. But the show exists on its own, and there's so many elements that are familiar, but there's so much freshness in this the crafting of the storytelling. And it's also a lot more personal and shaped around this small team, as opposed to it being the jump cut kind of craziness of the original the Clone Wars series, which I did honestly, I would find it overwhelming. Have you watched all the Clone Wars episodes, Foods? No,
not all of them.
It's overwhelming, right? There's so many stories and so many characters.
I wish Lucas would put together like the ultimate timeline,
right?
Of just like, here's how, like, you go to Disney Plus, you push play on part 1, and then like, here's a movie. Here's a little bit of the animated series, catches up to this, and then this movie comes in here. Like, how does Lucas play the timeline in chronological order?
I mean, I think he didn't do that with the original Star Wars films, and I think that's what Filoni was thinking, is like, you can catch up with these stories anywhere in the thread, and it's interesting to find the backstory, and it's interesting to see how it's all connected. But I think there's also value in what you're saying, because I do find that people are either averse to the animation style or the kind of caricature or look of the characters, or it just feels disconnected from what they know from live action. But I think The Bad Batch is probably the easiest of the animated series, even though it's a bunch of characters that aren't from the films at all. I think it's the easiest one to jump into, like The Mandalorian, it featured a bunch of brand new characters, but it felt like a homecoming in a way. And I think The Bad Batch is a terrific animated extension of the incredible work that went into The Mandalorian. So watch the damn show is what I'm saying. And then I think what's going to happen is if you fall in love with The Bad Batch like I am, you're going to want to dig back into the Clone Wars and watch Rebels and stay tuned to all of this stuff. And the comics are phenomenal too. I don't know if you guys.
If I had my timeline option, I'd just watch it all.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that exists on the Googles.
I know it does, but I want it to be like now Disney Plus. If you'd like to watch everything in chronological order, here I just push a button. I don't want to be like, well, where's this part? Where does this take place?
Yeah,
let me find it real quick. No.
I mean, I've watched a bunch of these episodes twice because it's dense, man. It's dense. And when you look at the Clone Wars and I haven't watched any of the Rebels. I've watched the Rebels show. I've watched like 2 or 3 episodes. But when you look at the amount of screen time these animated seasons take, like it totally dwarfs the feature film lengths. There's lots of content. So I've watched several of these episodes a couple of times to kind of soak up. Well, I'm a fanboy, but I'm also I'm trying to wrap my head around all of these threads, all of these different stories. It's really, really dense. But Bad Batch, not so, crazy. Yeah, not so stretched out. It's like, oh, okay, I understand.
Not a Game of Thrones, is what you're saying.
Exactly. But it's connected to the Game of Thrones in the Star Wars world. So excellent show.
Game of Clones, Vic. Game of Clones.
Oh, I like it. That's awesome.
I'm here all day.
And the other series on Disney Plus that I've been addicted to, like many of you, is Loki. And I don't have any footage of the most recent episode, but it was a consequential episode because what we saw is the Lokis, and I'm spoiling a little bit here, but the Lokis end up back at the TVA, and we see some pretty heavy things happen to beloved characters on the show. Foobs, you haven't seen this, so maybe close your ears or don't listen to any of this stuff. There you go. Listen to something else. Yeah, all right.
Were you done?
But we actually get the shock that Mobius is evaporated. And that sort of comes out of nowhere, and we also get to see that the timekeepers may not be everything that they're cracked up to be, and whatever all of these TVA agents believe them to be. And so some of the walls are starting to crumble, and more questions are arising out of this. But clearly what's going on is Marvel is sowing the seeds for the multiverse and the many incarnations and interpretations that their beloved characters might have across the many dimensions out there. And it was, a fairly slow-paced episode, with quite a bit of exposition and sort of backstory kind of telling about how it has all led to this. But we did get a pretty phenomenal kind of post-credit sequence that gives us a sense of what Loki has got to do now to kind of stay within the plot and stay within the MCU. And I blew up the internet. Everybody's been talking about it. I'm trying to dance around this and not jump right into the spoiler. But Foobs, are you listening? Can you hear me? Got me. Okay, can't hear me. Good. So the end credit sequence in Loki, where Loki sees more additional Lokis. It's such a weird thing because I don't want to just dive right into the spoilers and get it right into that. I also don't want to get that granular in the discussion. But he sees other Lokis. It was extraordinary, and the guest stars that popped in that little end tag there make me feel like episode 5 and 6. We've only got 2 more episodes. Are going to be so mind-blowing and wonderful, and I think they're going to be the perfect on-ramp to whatever. I think what's going on. We are all waiting for the No Way Home trailer. I think what is going on is we're going to wrap up Loki, and then the No Way Home teasers are going to start hitting and en masse, and we're going to get a sense of where Doctor Strange is. The multiverse is really lighting up. I think that's exactly what's about to start happening in some pretty magnificent ways. But Loki is it's tremendous fun, and I think that Sophia DiMartino is a terrific foil, and I think she's really had to stack up very well with this veteran with Loki. And I also thought Owen Wilson in the series has been a great get as well. I'm in. I am really, really enjoying the show. I do have to say, though, that I think I enjoyed WandaVision more, and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then Loki's right in there. Sort of Loki, Falcon, and the Winter Soldier are sort of neck and neck, but Falcon and the Winter Soldier really impressed me too. But I'm loving these shows. I can't wait for episode 5. Let me know what you thought of the end tag. I guess we're in spoiler territory. Everybody's talking about it. But the additional Lokis that popped up at the end, let me know what you thought about that and what you're hoping for from Loki episode 5 and 6. Okay, Foobs, you can come back. All right. All right. You're back.
All I heard was wonderful, mind blowing. I was reading lips. I was like, wait, is he saying Foobs is mind blowing? Come on back in.
Oh, it's so good. It's such a trip that it's a show. Like you've seen WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's such a trip that these are TV shows.
I mean, I love that they can keep expanding on things.
Yes.
You know, it's like, there's like, okay, we want to give you a little bit more than just a movie.
Yeah.
Here's 10 hours of it. I'm like, well, great. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I'm loving it because that's the way the comics rule, man. The comics aren't like Endgame every month, you know. Yeah. They go through the nuance and we get to know the characters.
I don't think the world would be able to handle that. An Endgame, everybody just
it's perfect because we start to get to know what's in the minds of these characters, what's in the hearts of these characters. We get to know them as people. Like Loki has been this surface level trickster, mischievous, backstabbing guy the entire time, and now we know that there's a lot more to him. We know.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah, you're about to. I mean, we saw teases of that in the Thor movies, but it's way more profound now. And
it's gonna be weird to see like once the movies like fully fledged come back. It's like the characters are getting TV shows, getting more airtime than the guys in the movies.
I know. I've seen Black Widow. I'm gonna have a review for Black Widow. I could have reviewed it today, but I'm gonna have a review of Black Widow on Monday's show. And I'll tell you, there is room for the movies and the TV shows big time. I'll tell you that. But anyways, let's talk a little bit about the latest golf experience from Nintendo,
Woo-hoo!
Which I know you just wrapped up the Mario Golf's adventure mode, right?
Sure did.
The story mode.
Boss fights, ladies and gentlemen. Spoiler alert, there are boss fights in a golf game.
What did you think of Mario Golf?
You know what? I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. I was like, I normally just enjoy me some Mario Golf.
Yeah.
But the the intros to like the adventure mode and just the power-ups and the way characters are running, the speed golf element, which is like, I got to run to my ball. What? This is chaos. And you can use your power-ups to like knock people's balls out of the way, and everybody's got these special abilities. And I had so much fun playing through just the adventure mode. Just a blasty blast, literally blasting balls left and right.
Yeah, no, I'm finding it to be. I was just on vacation and I took it with me, and I found it such an amazing way to wind down after a day out in the sun. It was, there's a tremendous amount of subtlety to the way that the game plays. Like, clearly it's stacking on years of iteration and refinement, and it's got the most state-of-the-art that Nintendo's ever played with in terms of hardware to make this game, and that's all on exhibit. But yeah, it's got the charm and it's got that kind of replay kind of quality to it, and there are so many different layers and different ways to enjoy the game.
And like some of the courses have special abilities which will throw off your golf. You'd be the best chipper in the world, but if you get struck by lightning,
and that's what makes the Mario games, the sports games that they make with Mario and his buddies, that's what makes them special, right? You play them unlike you would play a Tiger Woods PGA game, right? It's not just about...
This is not Pebble Beach.
Yeah, you're not just trying to... I mean, you want the sports element of getting the birdies and all that stuff, but it's almost like you want to experience the mistakes of the game, too. Like, you want to screw up, and you want to see the animations that these characters do, and then you want to try a different character.
Every time Luigi loses?
Yeah. I know, and they stare right at the camera too. Did you notice that when you F up and you're in a bogey, and all you got to do is get a bogey in the game, and they're just like miserable. They're like, but they look right at you.
It's very disappointing when you get those bogeys. The thing I can't stand is, especially when you're playing speed golf and you're driving and you hit a shot, you just take off running, and then you're like out of bounds, and then your shots with your balls all the way back at the beginning.
Yeah,
like what? I just ran all the way. I gotta go back.
Did you have a chance to play online with anybody, or you're playing solo?
I'm scared of people online.
I want to play some online matches. Maybe you and I can play a little bit of an online match with this thing. But I find that the controls are incredibly precise and incredibly intuitive. I think if there's one thing that I've noticed about this game is that maybe the tutorial stuff takes a little bit too long. They hold your hand and kind of show you what this, how
to lob, how to putt,
yes, exactly.
How to drive, how to chip. I did it.
They want to
really good at game.
Train you on every club, and of course in adventure mode you can also level up your character as well, and give yourself some buffs along the way. But I think it takes a little bit of time.
Not that much. I got to level 68. Not that bad.
You get to level 68.
I'm almost driving 3 hundo. No problem.
That's awesome. But when you're starting out, I feel like it's like, okay, let's go. Let's get moving here a little bit faster. But of course, these games are meant to appeal to every age group and every, non-gamer and every kind of category of player out there, right? Lots of families playing the game together.
I mean, I'm just waiting. I don't understand why Mario's so athletic. Mm-hmm. He's well established.
Yes.
Wii Sports was a phenomenon.
Right.
Why do we not just have Mario Sports?
Yeah.
If you could do it every year, people would love it. I mean, you don't have to do it every year, but every other year, maybe every couple of years.
Would you want to see a mix of the same sports
give me
or
golf,
different
give
sports?
Me tennis, give me strikers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you can throw all these games in there. There was a baseball game. Wasn't there a baseball game? Didn't he have a baseball game on the GameCube or something?
But they can sell you each one of those individually. They're not dumb.
No,
they know that. They know that. They've already sold you tennis.
But like how
now they want to sell you golf.
This is what I was pitching when I started playing Mario Golf. I'm like, okay, you got the speed golf, which is great, but imagine you hit your clubs, you get done with your hole, and then you got to hop in your Mario golf cart, drive to the next hole, and then it's like a little race, which adds another element.
Ooh, I like that.
Would it be great?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, you could throw Mario Kart in there.
Your caddy's on the back, and he's got your clubs, and he's whacking people as you drive by.
I like that. You could throw Mario Kart into that, and you could be driving and racing from one sport to another.
Mario Golf double dash, double kart, double.
Right.
Double,
so
double
we're designing for Nintendo right here. But
it's free designs.
But what's cool about the game is that it fits. It's not as good as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's not as beefy and robust. And that's one of the best. That is our favorite racing game of the last 10 years. But it hangs with it, like it's in that world. Like if you are a fan of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you're going to, even if you don't like golf, this is a game I think that anybody that, picks up a Nintendo controller and jumps onto the Switch, you're going to find some joy here. The world building is great. The controls are really solid. And it's just crazy fun to play.
Played as my Mii. He dominated.
You played as your Mii, yeah. You can outfit your character with different costumes and things like that. It's maybe not as, out there and interesting as Golf Story is. And there's been a lot of, which is funny because Mario Golf in the handheld version, like the old GBA game, I think was so original and came up with so many clever
Hot Shots though. Hot Shots Golf, we're going way back.
But there was all of this. Yeah, but there's been these cartoon golf games that have kind of played off of each other and taken things into some pretty interesting tangents and ideas. And I don't think this one is as maybe creatively ambitious as we have seen in some of the
create a course or something would have been cool.
That's absolutely. But everything that is in this game is refined and easy to enjoy and easy to play. And I totally feel like it's worth the purchase price. And one of the things that Nintendo did with Mario Tennis, which I'm expecting here, is that Mario Golf is going to get lots of post-launch content and tournaments and things like that.
Sure.
So I don't think that they're just going to drop that. Maybe we're going to get some new characters with this game as well. I don't know any of that stuff, but I just feel like... But I just don't feel like they're done. I don't think they're just going to drop this, sell it, and say, okay, that's it, because they're really releasing these titles like one per generation. I don't think we're getting another Mario Golf on the Nintendo Switch. So this is part of their catalog. This is something that they're going to want to go back to and tell people, you should check this game out and look at all of this extended value as part of that.
Yeah, we're going to add
I think it's
carts.
terrific. I think it's a total blast of a game.
It is.
Yeah.
I had a blast. Finish the adventure mode thing. I don't finish adventure modes in golf games too often. Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, are you like a golf game fan? Is that something that you reach for normally?
It's been a while.
Yeah. It's probably been since the last Mario Golf.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I played a lot of Hot Shots on the PSP.
Hot Shots is great. There's actually a terrific golf game on Apple Arcade. I think it's people that worked on Hot Shots, Clap Hands. They have Clap Hands Golf. which is kind of interesting, right?
So is it golf clap hands? It should be.
Yeah.
You don't want to clap
soft.
too loud.
That's right.
So one thing I never understood about golf: why are the announcers so quiet? You're not behind the guy hitting. You're in a booth. Here he comes, approaching the shot.
Well, they're live though.
They're live, but they're not next to the guy. Like this guy's
but
on the hole.
They're not soundproof. They're right near everybody.
No, they're not there. He's like, we're in the studio.
They're not in a satellite truck. They're right there on the green, aren't they? They're right beside everybody.
Not on the green. There's 18 greens. What are they just gonna move to the greens each time?
I guess so,
man, they're watching on the Come on, man.
That shows you how much I watch golf. So they stay where, in a studio, and then they're quiet like that the whole time?
They're probably like in a tent, like somewhere on the facility, but they're just like, and here he comes with the approach, focusing on the shot here. Like what? He's like a mile and a half away, man.
So, what would you give to Mario Golf? Do you have a score on that one?
I'd give it an 8.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I haven't played enough yet because I was
amateur. You haven't finished the adventure mode?
No, because I was trying to
meet the bosses.
I was actually on a paddle board. I was doing things that weren't in front of the screen. I was in front of a screen quite a bit. I've actually been playing
pictures, or it didn't happen.
No, I got it. I got pictures. I'm not sharing it. I was nervous, so make the more nervous face.
Hair still flawless. Making a life vest with a.
Yeah, but it was very fun. But I did enjoy decompressing with Mario Golf. I will tell you, I've been playing a ton of Metroid Zero Mission because I'm wanting to go back and play all the Metroid 2D scrollers before Dread comes out. But Mario Golf.
What's the timeline in Metroid 2D scrollers? Is there a timeline for that? It's another thing.
Yeah, Zero Mission, and then Metroid, and then Metroid 2, Samus Returns on 3DS, and then Super Metroid. And then Fusion, and then Dread is 5.
Okay.
Right?
If you say so. I don't know. I'm asking. So. That's what I was asking. I'm like,
pretty sure. Anyways, that's a hard tangent. I also would give Mario Golf an 8 based on what I've played, but I want to play some more. And I do want to play online with you, my friend.
I'll crush your face.
Okay. I expect you to do that. We got some questions here. Why don't we talk to some of the people in the chat right now? Mr. Shadow Mist asks, are the streams no longer being cut down to just the rundown anymore? Yes, they are, but I went on vacation, so I took a step back away from the computer, and I haven't done that in a little bit, but yes, I will absolutely do that again.
Mr. Free Time over here.
I won't for this episode because I've got my charming guest host, Jose Sanchez, with me, and this is what you get, the whole meal deal. But people have been talking about... Wood says, can't wait for Game of Thrones director's cut.
No,
we're all over the place in this.
Ghost of Tsushima, bro. GOT, the other GOT.
Oh, Ghost of Tsushima director cut. All right.
Game of Thrones. Come on, Vic.
We were talking about Game of Thrones. We were talking about Game of Thrones. But Ghost of Tsushima director's cut. Yes, that's also GOT. Sam Richardson did great work in Veep, Goku says. I'm going back into the chat here, so I'm reading a bunch of stuff. Glad we enjoyed it, Vic and Jose, is what Goku says. Clone Wars is good, but there's a lot of filler, Blair Farrell says. The Ren says, Foob's timeline idea would make a great menu option system for Disney+. It really would. Yes.
Like do like all the Disney movies chronologically. You can be like, you want to start at the first? There we go. Just push play, and here's the timeline. Just set up a little playlist.
Didn't they do that? Didn't they do something like that?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I haven't scoured the navigation, but I damn sure don't remember playlists.
I certainly like that idea. Calpy97 says, how are you, Vic? I really enjoyed Mario Golf. I just felt like it was lacking in lots of content such as tournaments, side challenges, etc. Calpy, and I hear that. And my expectation is that Nintendo is not done with that. I don't know for sure, but that's what my expectation is. Super Bob wants to point out the Metroid timeline. Ghost of Tsushima, Vic, come on. Wood's giving me crap. Sorry, Wood. I had Game of Thrones in my brain because Foobs brought that up. Metroid Zero Mission, Metroid Prime. Oh, he's got all of them. He's throwing in the primes in there as well. Mm-hmm. Metroid Zero Mission, Metroid Prime Pinball, Metroid Prime Hunters, Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime 3, Metroid Prime 2, Samus Returns, Super Metroid, Metroid Fusion, and Metroid Dread. And I noticed that Super Bob...
There's one missing.
He threw Other M under the bus, didn't he? He
Metroid Other M gets no love, huh?
Yeah, he just killed it.
Where's that Other M go?
Mr. Charming says, I'm bummed that Housemarque was purchased by Sony instead of Microsoft. I feel like they'd have more creative freedom under Xbox and a more secure future.
I don't know about that. I feel like the companies that have stuck with Sony for so long are doing pretty damn good at it.
Well, I think that, Sony is also making moves in response to the moves that Microsoft has been making. And sure. Returnal was that's my favorite game of the year so far. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's in 2021. That is the thing.
The problem is I played Ghost of Tsushima at the beginning of this year.
Right.
Even though it came out last year, it's hard to top Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, it's not as good as Ghost of Tsushima, but in terms of a 2021 release, that's my favorite experience. So had Sony not bought Housemarque, Returnal was so good that they were about to be acquired somewhere. Like Microsoft probably would have said, hey, you guys want to come on over here?
What a great idea for a roguelike. It was just, for me, it was just like, this is wild.
I know. And
so good.
It's so good. Also, the world building and the story crafting and the vibe of the game, they could clearly make a 2D version of that. I'm thinking of Returnal as I'm playing Metroid Zero Mission. They could go in a bunch of different tangents. They could make a very traditional Metroid type game. And it very much evokes classic Metroid design as well. As much as it's a roguelike, it is very similar to Metroid in so many ways. But, now Sony's got their own version of Metroid. And in fact, it pushes Nintendo and their teams to make better Metroid games because Returnal is so good. But I expect we're going to see more.
Have you played Ender Lilies?
No, I have not.
On the Switch?
Is that another Metroidvania thing?
Yes.
Yeah, very cool.
Yes. I've been, wow.
2D?
Yeah. 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania-esque in all its return to this area once you get this thing 5 hours later kind of elements.
Sounds so cool. Good. I'll check it out. PC?
Multiple endings. Very multiple.
Endings.
I played it on the Switch, which also it's good to travel with.
Okay. All right.
But Returnal over Ratchet for Game of the Year?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I enjoyed Returnal more than Ratchet. Ratchet is a beautiful showcase, and it's a super, super fun game. But Returnal just shook me. It was just such a, unique idea. What's that?
I will take this into consideration.
Okay. Thank you, Foob Father. Vic, do you feel like Nintendo needs to acquire more development studios in order to stay competitive with both Sony and Microsoft? This is from Calpy97. I guess what's probably happening is a consolidation war out there. There is a finite amount of AAA quality developers. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see, Nintendo did buy Next Level this year. If you look at the amount of acquisitions and companies that were external, quote unquote, independent, even if they had deals where they were pretty much aligned with one company, there's been a lot of acquisitions and a lot of consolidation. Yeah. So
are we going to get some Switch Professor Layton?
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah, no, I think Nintendo eventually will have to, keep up with the Joneses. If they,
gotcha.
It's weird though because Nintendo is its own business, and they always just do the thing that they do, and they don't look at what the other companies do. That's worked for them, right?
Yeah, that's what it was like. Where there's no Super Switch announcement, they're like, we don't care.
They don't care.
We got games in the pipeline.
Right.
We got a new Zelda. It's going to come out on the current Switch. You're going to play it. And you're going to buy a lot of it.
And, by keeping their system and the targets that they have for their games more in line, they're not pushing the state-of-the-art envelope like Microsoft and Sony have to do.
Imagine if Mario Odyssey looked like Ratchet.
Yeah. Right.
Mario Odyssey looks great. Mm-hmm. But you put some lens flare and some
I'll
HDR
tell you this,
lighting effects.
Mario Odyssey is a much better game than Ratchet.
Because it's built by Nintendo. Even though I enjoyed the hell out of me some Ratchet.
Ratchet's excellent. Mario Odyssey is a much better game. And Nintendo,
why is it better?
well, there's just more variety. There's more diversity. I found like there are more rewards in the costumes, and I just thought it was inventive, in a bunch of really incredible ways. Ratchet is as well, but it's also very in line with previous Ratchet experiences.
Sure.
And Mario Odyssey definitely has touchstones and familiarity with a lot of previous Mario games, but it was, I don't know, it was a bigger
It's got new
concept.
Donk City. That's all you really need. Give me that donk.
But you know what, though? That's a very good conversation to have. Absolutely. Because I think there's a lot of people out there that this is going to be their favorite Ratchet game of all time. Was it your favorite Ratchet game?
It's definitely up there.
Yeah, because
I mean, the very first one that they just remastered wasn't the first one. Yeah, that was also. That was because I remember playing that the first time.
More.
The first, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one on the PlayStation 4 more. I felt like it was a great throwback, but it was also like revitalizing everything, and just it was super tuned and super playable, and clearly made, all of which applies to the new game as well. But I guess I wasn't expecting the shock of Ratchet on PS4 that I got. And I was expecting to be shocked by Ratchet on PS5. And it did do that, but not more than that, I
was a big fan. I don't know why, but like the little cheats, finding all the little cheats.
Yes.
It's fantastic. I miss games that are just like, here's infinite ammo. Yes. Totally. Infinite health. Why worry about dying? Let's go and shoot everything. I got 1 million bolts to collect. Go. Dropping items from other games on things. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Blair Farrell says they don't have hooks like Jack and Sly. I mean, it's amazing that those are also part of the Sony pantheon as well. Would like to see Jack and Daxter and Sly come back. Wood says, I feel Returnal and Ratchet can get a little repetitive. Repetitive is part of Returnal's design.
It's like saying Spelunky. Spelunky gets a little repetitive. I just play the same thing over and over again. You know how many times I played level 1-1 of Spelunky 1 and 2? Thousands.
Okay, I don't know what you're asking there, Jamie. Turnip Boy commits tax evasion on the Switch. Is that an actual game? Turnip Boy commits tax evasion on the Switch? I don't even know if that's true or not. Do not know. I've played all the Ratchet games, save the new one, and as much as I love them, it's hard to tell them apart, Blair Farrell says.
I can see that.
I never thought I'd like running around in all the Odyssey in all of the Odyssey costumes as much as I did, Super Bob says. Nintendo is a quiet powerhouse. Their market cap growth over the last 5 years has been awesome. Rob Kranz. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like they just do their own thing, and we dig it. We dig it. We dig their choices, and we come to their games, and we...
That's the thing. When they announce a game, like when Nintendo announces a new game, everybody's like, yeah, let's go, because you know it's going to be damn good. I can't remember the last like Nintendo-made game I played that was like, what the hell were you thinking? It's probably that Skyward Sword game on the Wii.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, even if, it's not personally your favorite thing, I think what you can say about the Nintendo first party stuff is that there is this real sort of reach to quality, and you can appreciate that this is somebody's favorite thing, like they're made with such unique qualities and just, this game, design kind of fervor.
Nintendo has their pillars.
Yeah,
they've got their pillar. Like these fans need this game. These fans need this game. These guys need this one's. Hit them with the golf. Hit them with the tennis. Hit them with the karting.
Yeah.
Hit them with an Odyssey. Hit them with the new Zelda.
Yeah, and we do. I mean, we throw the fact that they re-employ their established brands again and again, and they sell us concepts again and again that we're kind of familiar with. But it's also what we want from them. So they're in this weird position of, and sometimes we have to wait too, right? Like they don't give us 4 Mario games in a console generation, right? They don't even do what,
I know.
We wait.
I know.
And
remember how many Super Mario games we got on the Super Nintendo? Remember?
Yeah.
We didn't get a lot of, we got some Yoshi's Island.
They make us wait, and then they give us what we want, but then they also shake it up and give and surprise us. And I'm saying this in general terms because they don't knock it out of the park every single time, but they're pretty damn dependable. And what's shocking with Nintendo is that they don't play the hardware game at all, and it's never been their philosophy. They
will release
established
17
stuff.
Nintendo DSs before they get to something else.
Exactly. Pathetic Earthling says, I like the gameplay of Odyssey, but I was not a fan of the character design. Okay. Oh, Shadow Mist brought up something great here. Did anybody see the abomination from the Incredible Hulk in the new Shang-Chi trailer? We talked a little bit about that last week. Yeah, that looks awesome, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love that. I love that the this constant fusion and mixing of worlds is and we're seeing that with Loki right now. It's you're seeing it. I'm not. Oh, there's a great. There's a great character from the past that makes a reappearance in this current Loki show.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's terrific.
Now I'm going to be recycling past characters in my head. Damn it. Ruined.
Here's Karen N saying, as a retailer, I noticed that Nintendo's core games do not go down in price over time the way the other console games do. It's interesting, right? Like we've been talking about Ratchet and Mario and Jak and Daxter and all that stuff. It always shocked me, and I said this at the time, but it always shocked me that on the PlayStation 2, we got Ratchet, Sly, and Jak and Daxter games every year, and they all came in within 2 months of each other. Nintendo would never in a million years do that. They would never do a Mario adventure and a Donkey Kong adventure, or even a Mario Kart game, like within 2 months of each other every year. There's so many parts of that equation that Nintendo would never do. Now, PlayStation has taken over, market share, and they're number one, I think, in terms of sell-through through different generations of PlayStation. And this is arguably the fastest-selling console generation right now with PlayStation 5. But they have made choices like that have been so anti the structure and the decision that Nintendo set up right from the get-go. And we don't always like that about Nintendo. Look at how long we've had to wait for this new 2D Metroid game.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's because Nintendo is not releasing anything broken.
Right.
Unless it's Chicken Shoot.
Yeah.
But that wasn't on them.
That wasn't Nintendo's, yeah. Nintendo, because they do labor as much as they do on their own stuff, and I think this brings us back to the question of do they need to buy new studios? They haven't had to, because the quality of the hardware and the experience of their teams kind of met at a sweet point where they had enough resource to make just enough releases in a year. But they've also always been a victim to subpar third-party stuff, in a bigger way than Xbox and PlayStation has.
I just feel like in a Nintendo world, they're like, I don't know, can you give it to us in like 2 or 3 years? They're like, what? It's coming out on the other stuff. We got it in a year. It's coming out in a year. Like, okay, well, then we'll get it in a year, and everybody's gonna be like, whoop-de-doo, I'll play it on the PlayStation or the Xbox.
Yeah,
it's just a weird thing. I'd love to understand the goings on behind the scenes of like how the third party developers feel about going into working with this company that will produce their games ever so slowly, but ever so correctly. And it's making sure that there's not a lot of downloadable patches you need when you put the game in for the first time.
Right.
So, I mean, it's always something that's kind of interests me about Nintendo.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like they aren't in a fight with Xbox and Sony. They're their own industry. They're going to be the last to make any big sweeping changes. Even when we, because you and I have talked about this, and I think the whole business, Game Pass has been in the news like crazy recently. It took over Twitter. Everybody was tweeting about it last weekend. It's having a huge effect already. The moves that Microsoft is making with Game Pass are absolutely going to be countered by PlayStation. And they, to a degree, they already do counter that with PlayStation Now, but I think that change is going to grow even more. But Nintendo will be the last to go to that subscription idea because they don't need to, right?
But they have it already.
Well, they have the classic stuff.
But just imagine, like, they have, like, the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo classic stuff. But imagine, like, every few months, they just, like, sprinkled in a Switch game.
Yeah.
Like, hey, thanks for being online supporter for a year. Here's, this game, or here's an Animal Crossing, or here's some Pikmin or something. I'd be like, oh, thank you, Nintendo. That's so sweet. That's so nice. This game came out a couple years ago, but thank you. I'm not necessarily gonna go back and play all this Nintendo and Super Nintendo stuff, but I just think like that would be a nice little touch. They're just like, hey, it's a little Switch game you might have missed. Check it out.
Yeah.
But only for like a week, and then we're gonna rip it out of your system.
I hope they do that. I think it's good for games if they do that. They do not need to do that.
No.
Shadow Mist 1 says, what is your take on the current indie game companies getting angry with Sony for how they are treated trying to get their games on the system? I think that the regimes change and the philosophies change. I think it's good for developers to be vocal about their disappointments and their frustrations. They're all trying to run businesses, I think, and stay afloat and see their games get a little bit of attention out there. It's an incredibly challenging period right now for anybody to break through and get noticed. Like I wake up every day trying to cover as much of the business as I can. Most people don't have any time to do that at all, and so most games get released and there's no attention on them at all. And I think what's also really been evident and true is that over the last couple of console generations, because of the absence of AA stuff, the indie stuff that's out there has become incredibly valuable and important. You just told me about this Lily's game right now, which I suspect is an indie game that I don't even know if
Ender Lily's, Vic, get on it.
Haven't even seen it. So I don't think that just like people, just like humans, people don't exist as, the totality of who they are when you criticize them in the moment. Companies can be like that as well. I think that Sony has played very nicely with at least some indie developers in the past, and I think they will again. And I think you can say that around Xbox, and I think you can say that around Nintendo as well. I think it's incumbent on the development community to share this, maybe not from a burn it all down kind of place, but from like, how do we make this better kind of position.
Give me back the summer of arcade. It's summertime,
right?
Man.
Yes.
A great little feels like, here's a bunch of indie stuff we're gonna release every week. What? I'll pay my gamer points for that. My gamer, whatever it was back in the day.
I think Game Pass has supplanted that, my friend.
I know, but I mean, like, that's awesome to have all those games. But the summer of arcade always focused on those indie games that gave us the Limbos,
right?
The Braids,
right,
and the Spelunkies.
Now they have ID at Xbox making vids all the time, and Nintendo's, indies vids, and Sony popping out videos every once in a while doing that. But yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough to stay on top of it all, and it's tough to get recognized for it. But then, there are more game companies finding a way to make games now than ever before. The channel constriction isn't there anymore. And there's a lot of studios that are actually thriving because of things like Game Pass that would never have gotten any attention because of the limitation in how they were able to reach the marketplace before. And Game Pass has kind of shifted that. Now, Game Pass isn't perfect. It's still evolving, and it's still getting a little better and a little more fair for developers out there. But I think it's a constant conversation. It drives me crazy to see people paint any of these companies with one brushstroke and say that company sucks, or they're cheap, or they're just trying to crush you, or they're greedy. Every company has elements of those negative aspects about them in games and lots of other industries. But, at the core of these companies, the reason why they exist is they want to entertain us, and they want to make, the world more colorful and more artistically enriching and enriched. And they don't always succeed, but often they do, Like Ubisoft has killed it on lots of things. EA has killed it on lots of things. Activision has delivered some incredible things. I was playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on the Switch. It's another excellent port, just like Crash 4 on the Switch is excellent. And both of those games stand in direct opposition, I think, to what we have painted Activision to be as this Call of Duty only company. They've got every studio, every company has got more going on with them than just they're just trying to suck money out of us. They're trying to
make money.
Yeah, totally,
for the best reasons.
No, Pathetic Earthling. Thanks for asking, though. Not here. Another day. Nintendo and Sony may be anti-consumer, but they at least put out amazing games for their consumers. JBJ, Blaze, and TFA. I think if anything, JBJ is that the games industry is living one foot in the past and one foot in the future, and they're trying to kind of grapple with where they've come from. Yeah, and it is uncomfortable because
have you tried standing like that?
Yeah, it's very hard. And when games came out, when the industry, the industry that Nintendo and Sega and other companies kind of really created for the world, games were magic. It was like wizards made them, and we had no idea how they got
wizards
made.
And warriors.
Yes, and we would happily spend as much as we spend today on a cartridge back then, and take it home and go, oh my God, well, nobody can do this. No one in the world can make these things. And let's plop it in, and then we'd see squares moving and bouncing and things like that.
Still buying cartridges, Vic.
Still buying them.
Still buying them.
But of course, what has changed is, there are schools that teach great game programs, and there are games that allow you to make games, and there's free experiences out there that are incredibly worth your time, if not your money. And so the adoption around games and the recognition and the intelligence and awareness around games has exploded, and the pricing and the way that games get marketed and sold is still is quite antiquated. It's still tied to pricing models based on the people only being able to access this content by going to a physical store, and the trucking costs and the manufacturing costs were so expensive. All of that has shifted completely, Yeah. And so it's a lot like what happened with the television industry. The pivot was very slow to digital. Right? Pivot. And so a lot of people got burned. Music industry, the same kind of thing. And I think the video game industry has maybe been able to hold on to that collector's mentality and that pricing mentality for a very long time, but these radical shifts are happening, and they have always entertained us, but the pricing has been out of whack. And the challenge for people like Jose and I, we've been trying to make content that has appealed to everybody. And most people look at the pricing. Most people look at the pricing of games and go, "Screw that! I'm going to go play Fortnite, or I'm going to go play League of Legends. I'm not going to spend $80 on a game," or whatever it is. The video game industry has done an excellent job at making games for a specific crowd. But if more people had access to this stuff and weren't scared by the pricing and scared of the kind of clubhouse mentality, more people would play, and more people would see that the best stuff that comes from companies like Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo is the best entertainment that exists.
Yeah,
right?
Because you can go back and play it differently if you so choose.
Exactly.
Sometimes.
Exactly.
Can't do that in movies.
Right.
You can watch a movie upside down, but it wouldn't make a lot of sense.
And it's not an hour per dollar equation. It's not about that. It's the cost to enter. It's that entry cost. And I think that
I wish movies were $1 per hour. That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that $20 sweet spot, people will plunk down $20. They'll buy a movie they'll add it to they used to add it to their DVD collection that they would never even care about, they'll just, it's only $20, I'll throw that down. But people think about $50 or $60 or $70 or $80 for games. And they make purchasing decisions in a big way, and so people don't ever, and it's not just about selling them, it's about getting people to play them and getting more people in. So I've said this forever. Games should be $20, $30. They should just be at that price point, which ratifies the entire industry, because the industry has built on, you press a cartridge or a disc and you put it in a box and you put it on a truck and you send that truck to a store like GameSpot or EB Games. And that is the 1990s. That's the 80s and the 90s, and we're not in that era anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, you don't have to press my digital releases. I'll pay cheap. I'll pay less money for the digital copy if I don't need the box or the disc printed or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think there still should be a market for these collector's editions and these physical editions for the collectors that want that stuff out there. But I think things like Game Pass are the great equalizer. That is a no-brainer decision for people to go, especially now that it's tied into Windows 11. Like, it's already at 25 million subscribers. It's going to be huge. It's going to be 50 million within a year, I'm sure. And then people are going to be tasting these games that never would have bought any of these games before. What's that going to mean for the industry?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's still something about physical media, though. Like you don't appreciate physical media until your internet is dead.
Yeah.
And you can't watch anything, or you're like, well, I do have this on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Let me watch this. Unless it's a game that you can only access while you're online. But there's something magical about, well, I don't have internet. I can't download this game because I'm off in a cabin somewhere.
Yeah.
I wish I had the physical copy. Yes, I do. Put that in the thing.
Yeah.
Works.
True. Yeah, and the retro stuff is huge for that too, right? There's a real value in playing a lot of that classic stuff.
Like the companies that are reprinting old games like onto cartridges or discs again.
Yeah.
That's just a wild thing. Like, wait, they did what? They put that on a Nintendo cartridge? I need to find a Nintendo to play that?
Yeah.
Or Retron?
And honestly, those old carts, I was just in I was over on Vancouver Island, and I was just in a little video game, it's like a collectibles store. And yeah, the cartridges are $25 or $50. It's amazing how they hold their value. But that's for us. We're already the converted. We're already in it. Yeah. I see Zone After Void 12 says takeout lasts like 2 hours and a game lasts forever, and a takeout can cost you $70. And you're right. And I equate that all the time when I buy a game. Like I bought Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 and it was $60. And I already have it on other machines, but I wanted to play it portably. I wanted to talk about it with you guys. And I thought, well, you know what? I've been buying dinners this week, and we've been spending way more than that. But we shouldn't have to make that mental gymnastics.
Do you want to eat tonight, or would you like to play a new indie game?
Right. We should just be able to say, yeah, $20. That's okay, right? Like,
here's your Chinese food and your latest downloadable handheld game.
Because here's awesome. The thing. Here's the great thing, right? Like, takeout food is a great analogy. It's expensive to go out for dinner, but a lot of people go out for dinner and go see a movie. They don't make a choice about going out for dinner or a game.
I mean, you add drinks into the mix, and it can be a little expensive. But when you're drinking at home and playing games,
yes,
you're saving money.
Yes,
Thank you, video game.
And going out for dinner is an extravagance, but we need to eat. We don't need to play video games or be entertained.
You shut your face right.
We do. Back. We do. We do. I'm talking about.
Thought we were losing you. I was like, is he losing his mind?
Regular human beings out there. That's what I would say. I would gladly pay $70 for a great game. Have not regretted Demon Souls, Ratchet, Returnal, or the Neo remakes. Skylar, but imagine if you were paying $30 and there were, I don't know, another 10 more games added to that list.
See.
Yeah,
hey,
and I know that you can wait and buy them on sale, and you can do that for sure. The full price on digital is more about agreements with box stores as opposed to companies being greedy. Yes, Mr. Brockerrock. Man, this is a huge discussion, and I think that we should have this in a future Vic's Basement. What do you think, my friend?
I'm always ready.
Pricing. Maybe I'll add a couple more voices into this conversation because I like this topic. I think it's incredibly important. I hear that all the time from families and people that I meet, and longtime viewers of the show, is that I'd like to play more games, but holy crap, it's so expensive.
Mm-hmm. Get yourself a Game Pass.
Game Pass.
Pass to the game.
Crazy. Can we watch you play the Metroid game, Super Bob? Yeah, I'm definitely going to be streaming. I've got a new kick-ass PC that's coming into the basement, and I'm going to be showing off the PC and the games that I'm going to play on it. It's got a 30-something card on it. I'll run through all the specs and all that stuff.
30-something, dropping numbers. Look at this guy over here. He's just buying games, new PCs, going on vacation, living my best life.
Oh, the PC is a review unit that I have to send back, but I'm going to be checking that out and streaming it. And there's a very cool contest coming up next week as well. So yeah, I'm back from vacation. I'll be back full steam with streams and with awesome guests like Jose and of course the rundown starting on Monday. But that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks everybody. Marco Way says, I need to play games. It's my brain food. We all need to play games. Foobs and me and all of you, we need to play games. What we want to do is get more people that never play games to play games, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Everybody. We want to grow it, and then the games get cooler. That's the whole thing. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Foobs.
Thank you, Victor.
Okay.
Today's the 35th anniversary of Big Trouble in Little China, so go out and watch it.
What is it? 35th?
It's the 35th anniversary.
Yeah.
The greatest movie of all time, starring David Lopan.
Wonderful movie.
There he is. Glopan.
Wonderful movie. Wonderful friend. I love you, buddy. Big love to your family. We will see you soon. Everybody have an awesome weekend. We will see you on Monday. And until then, play forever.